want to send it to her?
How about you?
On my own dime. Yeah. No, no confusion.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice.
Like I say, it's deep.
How are you? Oh, you're at home. I'm going out of town. I'll be okay. It's in the third district.
I do too.
Okay. All right.
You all have the minutes. Yes, can I use it tonight? Yeah, like get it right back.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the Gary County Council meeting, November 19, 2019. Within the 6 p.m. hour, I believe it's 11 hours at this time. I would like to ask everyone to stand for prayer and remain standing for the pledge of allegiance. Mr. Mobley, lead us in our prayer.
Let us pray. Our God, our Heavenly Father, this day would not be complete if we did not take time to give you praise, honor, and glory. You are more than worthy to be praised to the highest. Your grace, your mercy is beyond measure. You give so freely to us who are not deserving of your goodness and your loving kindness. Yet you continue to look beyond our faults and bless us in every way. To say thank you is the least that we can do to the God who can keep us from falling and to present us faultless in the presence of his glory. Prayer is on the agenda. Yet we do not consider the time set aside to commune with you as just a formality. This is serious time. This is precious time. And we have a privilege that you give us to render prayer and not to take it lightly. The words of our mouth, we ask that you let the meditation of our heart be acceptable in your sight, for you are our strength. You are our Redeemer. And we ask, oh God, that you will bless those who hear these words and bless every citizen of this city and bring us together once again at the appointed time where we can lift up your holy and divine name and to attend to the business at hand. We give these thanks and we ask these blessings in the mighty and precious name of Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Brown,
Present.
Councilman Brown,
Here.
Councilwoman Caldwell, Councilman Proto, Councilwoman Rogers,
Present.
Councilman Smith, Councilwoman Sparks Wade,
Here.
Councilwoman Wyatt,
Present.
and President Brewer.
Here.
Mr. President, there are 8 present, 1 absent.
8 present, 1 absent. We do have a quorum. That's the business of the city of Louisville. Have a motion to approve the minutes from our previous meeting.
Mr. President, I move that the minutes from the previous meeting be adopted.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Wade. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Brown,
Yes.
Councilman Brown,
Yes.
Councilwoman Caldwell,
Yes.
Councilman Proto, Councilwoman Rogers,
Yes.
Councilwoman Sparks Wade,
Yes.
Councilwoman Wyatt,
Yes.
and President Brewer.
Yes.
Mr. President, vote is 8-0.
The vote is 8-0. The minutes from our previous meeting have been adopted and so ordered. Council pending orders to resolution on first reading.
CPR 2019-10, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of Gary, Indiana, approving the 2019 City Comprehensive Plan, sponsored by Redevelopment Commission.
Planning.
CPR 2019-11, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of Gary, authorizing acceptance of grant funds, sponsored by Mayor Karen Freeman Wilson, City of Gary.
Planning.
Mr. President, is assignment of pending ordinances and resolutions.
Mr. President, the Planning Committee has before CPR 2019-10. For the record, I approve this ordinance for reporting out. Councilwoman Rogers?
Yes.
Mr. President, a majority of the committee approves CPR 2019-10 for reporting out.
Mr. President, Finance Committee has before it CPR 2009-11. For the record, I approve this resolution for reporting out to the council. Councilwoman Caldwell.
Yes.
Mr. President, a majority of the Finance Committee has approved CPR 2019-11 for reporting out to the council.
Mr. President, the Planning Committee would like to report out CPR 2019-10.
Mr. President, the Finance Committee would like to report out CPR 2019-11.
Discussion on selection of council members.
I have a couple. I have a letter that was brought by Denise Jackson. She had to leave, and so she asked me to read it, so if I could.
Yes.
Okay. It's dated November 4th to all concerned. I'm writing this letter to express my extreme gratitude and appreciation for the way a seemingly catastrophic situation was handled by the City of Gary General Services Department. On Monday, October 21st, the city was hit by a brief yet damaging storm. I was at work and totally unaware of what was happening around my house. My sister, who lives next door, called me at work and told me that the tree in my front yard had fallen down. She advised me not to come home because there was really nothing I could do. She called General Services and reported the incident. I was due to get off soon, so I stayed at work. In the meantime, my niece sent me pictures, but that was nothing compared to what I saw when I pulled up in my driveway. I was devastated by what I saw. My house was covered by the tree and had been uprooted from the concrete. It missed going through my picture window by inches. By the time I got home, the city workers were in place. I remember how the workers were consoling me and assuring me that it was going to be all right, because at this point, I was very upset. I love my city, and I love it even more now because people stopped by to pray with me and for me. There were about a dozen workers. All of them were professional and worked diligently to get the tree removed. I was watching through my living room window. They were taking every precaution to stop that tree from actually falling on my house. A proud moment came for me when I looked out and saw one female working hard and acting like an overseer. I then recognized her as one of my former students. I could never forget the face or the way she worked hard. She was the same way when she was in school. So many times our city has been ostracized and criticized for services rendered. I deemed it necessary to take this opportunity to say something positive and meaningful about my city, our city, and show that I am proud to be a citizen here. Thank you, City of Gary, for a job well done. Sincerely, Denise Jackson. So she asked, I think everybody has a copy of this letter, so she asked me to read it. And the other thing, Mr. President, I'd like to extend my sincere condolences to the family of Mr. Reuben Roy, as well as the family of Mr. Reuben Lyles and Mr. Bill Lyles. To all those families, I'd like to extend my sincere condolences. Thank you.
Anyone else at this time?
Excuse me, Mr. Chair. Just for public information, I don't know if anyone read it in the Times. Is Lauren Cross here? Thank you, Ms. Cross. I want to thank you for your article to alert the public about the intrusion into the county IT. And in the process, we had a breach, I want to say in October, where I know you all were aware of it. And what happened was, they were able to get some information. So recently, and we want to let the public know, this group of people have been calling people throughout the country saying that you have a loved one in jail, and they have adequate information, and you need to give us between, I think, $3,000 and $5,000 to get them out. Please do not respond to it. And the main reason is two things. One, it's gonna have a Lake County, Indiana government number. Somehow or another they do that. And two, they're gonna say, my name is Michael Brown, which that's not me. So we need the public to clearly understand that this is very serious. This breach was very harmful to us. And we have loved ones who are incarcerated, and there's a proper way to deal with that. This is not the way. Ms. Cross, I want to thank you very much for your article and letting everyone know throughout this area. But we want to continue to let the public know. Not just that. If you get a call from the IRS, it's not legitimate. Any phone call that you get and someone says this person is in jail or they're in a foreign country, do not respond to it. If you're not sure, call someone else, okay? Because the bottom line, as you know, this time of the year, people are doing these kind of things. And somehow or another, because they've been breaching all these different places like the hospitals and the stores, they're getting this information. We have got to stop people from stealing from the people in our communities all across this country. I must say, specifically, it's been happening to a lot of seniors. So we want to do everything in our power to let them know. When you see a number, if you're not sure, let them leave you a message. Because once you answer the phone, if you're not clear, they may get you. And they may ask you a question like, is this your name? You may say yes. That's another way for them to get into your credit union credit account. Because I don't know if some of you know, but if you ever had a transition, did a transaction on the phone with your credit card, and the credit card company say, is this your name, or give us your name for a digital signature, those things those people have. So you can say yes, and the computer would recognize your voice, and they can get into your account. You can say your name, and the computer will assume that you're giving a signature information through the account. So we must be extremely careful with this. This is extremely serious. We're working hard to try to find out how we can resolve it, but the most important thing at this time is to let the public know, please do not give any information or any money to anyone over the phone. If you have a loved one and you're concerned about them, get off the phone and try to reach them. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Very good information to put out to the public. And one thing I always tell people, when people, you get those calls that you owe a bill and kind of get you to pay those bills there, I don't send you a hard copy of the mail. Just don't take for granted someone is saying that you owe something you don't remember, but you want your credit to say clear and you're gonna pay it. Make sure that they send you a hard copy of the mail. Is there anyone else that's just Councilman Caldwell?
I have a couple announcements. The Urban League invites you to a gospel explosion Friday, December the 6th, 7 p.m. at St. John Baptist Church, 2457 Massachusetts. The doors open at 6 p.m. This is a free concert with local choirs. For more information, the Urban League of Northwest Indiana, 219-887-9621. And also the Gary Historical and Cultural Society and the Gary Civic Symphony Orchestra presents their 36th annual Christmas dinner concert. Monday, December the 9th, at the Genesis Center. Seating at 5:30. Concert 6:15. Tickets are $55 if paid at the door, $50 for a table of 10 paid in advance, $25 for ages 18 and under. You can call 219-985-1315 or 219-680-7215 for more information. Thank you.
Mr. President,
Councilman White.
I'd like to give an update in regards to the railroad crossing closures in the 6th District. I did speak with Paul, and he's here again on tonight, who owns the company called Air Filter and Cooling, Heating and Cooling. And he did have an opportunity to meet with the mayor and the city engineer who came out. They did a drive-through, and they are trying to come to some resolution in regards to the closure at Adams Street. We're not going to give up. We will continue this fight, however long it takes. We want those barricades taken down on Adams as well as on Delaware. And we understand that whatever processes, whatever procedures went forth prior to now, we're starting over. And so hopefully, myself, Councilwoman Wyatt, who fed me some information earlier this week, we will be working on this. So to the residents of the 6th District, we will not be closed off from the rest of the city, and we will continue to work with this. So I just wanted to let you all know that we have not given up the fight. And secondly, we're going to have our final 6th District meeting of the year on December 12th. And the location is yet to be announced, but it's going to be on December 12th at 5:30. And looking forward to it, and looking forward to as many residents as possible to come out. And finally, Howe Park renovation, the improvements that are occurring over there. We are close to the end of the renovation of the pavilion, and we're going to be having an open house there real soon. So please keep your calendars open for December 16th. And you'll see there's some construction that is going on over there at this point in time, that the pool has been pretty much taken out and removed. We're going to be replacing that with a splash pad. The tennis courts have been removed. We're going to be putting a basketball court in there, and we're going to also put a playground there. This is a collaborative effort. We've been talking about this for the last 4 years. It's a collaborative effort with the county, and I'm just glad that we were able to break some ground prior to the end of my tenure. Thank you, Mr. President.
Anyone else?
Yeah, Mr. President,
Councilman Poco.
first of all, I'd like to remind the citizens of the city of Gary that it's that time of the year, and the mail carriers would appreciate if you burn your porch lights a little bit longer during the evening time as they deliver mail. And we want them to feel safe when they bring us those bills that we don't want. And finally, today was a great day for me. After 10 months, several doctors, several surgeries, I got my discharge papers today. Can't run, but I can sure get on that plane and fly. And I appreciate everybody that prayed for me.
That's great.
Thank God for the healing.
That's great.
And Mr. President, one more thing, I'm sorry. I just thought about it, we won't be in a council meeting next week, but to everyone in the city, everyone in the listening audience and watching audience, happy Thanksgiving. We've got a lot to be thankful for, And this Thanksgiving is also my birthday.
Yeah.
I ain't telling.
Mr. President, I believe Thursday, the 21st of November, I think it's the YWCA on West 15th Avenue is providing food bank based on the information I received. I know there was one Saturday that was sponsored. It was at the Food Bank of Northwest Indiana. So I believe the next one is this Thursday, the 21st, from 10 to 12 p.m. At the YWCA of Northwest Indiana. 150 West 15th Avenue. I believe the other one is from 4 to 6 at the Food Bank of Northwest Indiana at 6490 Broadway in Maryville. And I think there's another one Wednesday, November the 20th, from 4 to 6 at New Creations Ministry, 937 Fifth Avenue in Highland. That's sponsored by Stratton Van Til. I say that because as she was saying Happy Thanksgiving, there are some families that are struggling, as we always know. They're struggling with lights and heat. And there is a moratorium at this point where the sheriff cannot do any evictions at this time. So if some landlord comes to you and tell you to get out, and I know the landlord's not gonna like this, you don't have to go. Because the sheriff doesn't come in and evict you, but I would like you to pay rent so that doesn't have to happen. But there are families who are struggling, and we certainly want to do everything in our power to make that Thanksgiving as good as possible. I believe there's going to be a Thanksgiving dinner served at noon. Is that going to be at the Genesis Center? Did anyone find out anything whether or not Dr. Smith or someone else was sponsoring anything?
I think his dinner is at
It's gonna be Christmas?
church, St. Stephen's.
St. Steve, I thought, just a minute, I thought that the Deltas usually, are you guys doing
I'm
something?
trying, what
At
did you say?
your church.
Aren't you doing something at your church for Thanksgiving?
Thanksgiving?
Yeah,
Thanksgiving Day,
right.
my sorority,
Okay.
Delta Sigma Theta, is, yes, dinner is free, starting at 10 o'clock in the morning at 1917 Carolina Street, New Mount Moriah Missionary Baptist Church,
Very good.
being sponsored by Delta Sigma Theta.
Thank you so much. I don't know if there's any other organizations out there that are helping, but we greatly appreciate any support for anyone in this community and other communities who are having challenges, because every single day there's a struggle one way or the other, but we need to be as positive as possible. And in a time of Thanksgiving, I think it's important because it seems like all of the big stores went from Halloween to Christmas. They forgot all about Thanksgiving. Everyone's having a Black Friday sale, and everyone wants to sell you toys. I even heard Santa Claus was at the mall today, him and Miss Santa. Someone told me, no kidding, I'm serious, someone said they took the kids out there. So Walmart too? Somebody need to catch up with them, tell them, wait after Thanksgiving. Thank you, Mr. Chair, Mr. President, thank you.
The Gary FOP is asking if you can support them with the Shop with a Cop that started in 1998. The goal is to take at least 50 children of our community shopping for Christmas to buy monetary gifts for themselves or their families. Some don't have the basic needs, so they're asking if you can support any of these things. So they just need 49 more. I'll be donating my $100. It's a great cause.
Thank you, thank you.
Also, Attorney Torres Lay is, I'm gonna have him to come to the finance meeting to talk more about this, but he is, asking that we all can come together and councilmen to meet so we can talk more about it. He's sponsoring the 2020 banquet. This is the reunion of council members. There's a gala that will take place at the Majestic Star Casino Saturday, February 15th, 2020, starting at 6 p.m. So he'll be at next finance meeting to talk more about this and give us more information. We'll make the time for that. At this time, we will go to third and final.
CPO 2019-62, an ordinance of the City of Gary establishing a procedure for the sale of the book Gary A Pictorial History, sponsored by Rebecca Wyatt, Councilwoman of the First District.
Are we still deferring this ordinance or?
We ready to go with it? There is an amendment that should be on it.
We're moving for passage?
Yes, we move to pass it, but
Okay.
there should be an amendment
Okay, Mr. President, I move for passage, third and final of CPO 2019-62.
There's a second?
Second.
Moved properly second.
Mr. President, I move to amend by substitution CPO 2019-62.
There's a
Second.
Moved properly second to amend by substitution. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mr. President, if I may just tell why we're amending it before we vote on the amendment.
Go ahead.
We needed to put in there in the ordinance when payment would be required. So it is upon receipt, and the other change is that the books are located in the police station. Thank you.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Brown?
Yes.
Councilman Brown?
Yes.
Councilwoman Caldwell?
Yes.
Councilman Proto?
Yes.
Councilwoman Rogers?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sparks Wade?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wyatt?
Yes.
And President Brewer?
Yes.
Mr. President, vote is 8-0.
Order 8-0, CPO 2019-62 has been amended. Over at this time.
Mr. President?
Councilman White.
This is the ordinance that we put together to set out a procedure for selling the pictorial history books that we were able to get through a Legacy Foundation grant and some money from the city. So the books, upon passage of this ordinance, will be available for sale. They're $20 plus a 7% tax. You would need to pay for them in advance, upon receipt of the book. And you would go to the finance department to purchase them. I had meant to bring a copy this evening so that I could show, because it's just an excellent publication, and I'm very proud of the work that was done by Drs. Lane and Cohen from IUN. I would ask that the council approve this ordinance.
Any question by council members at this time? Council members, tonight is set aside for public hearing. Anyone like to speak for or against CPO 2019-62? You have 3 minutes to speak on this ordinance.
Yes, good evening, council. My name is Jim Nowacki. I live in the 2nd District, and I'm very excited about the book and making it available to the public, and I'm sure it's going to be very successful. However, I would make the observation that this is a very complicated process for selling this book. If you were to suggest to someone in the book-selling business that the books are going to be over here, that someone's going to have to go to the treasurer's office to pay for the book, and then you're going to have to go somewhere and pick up the book, you know what people would suggest? That it doesn't make any sense. I understand we have to watch, make sure we can count for the money, but it seems that if the council were to look at how books are sold in the normal world, in other words, someone buys them wholesale, then they sell them retail, and you would understand that that's the way books are generally sold. Maybe someone would have someone take care of that, put an advertisement, whatever, but to think that people are going to wander back and forth around city facilities simply to buy this book, you're not making it easy for them. You're making it very difficult and time-consuming and torturous. So I had made a suggestion at one of the committee meetings that we should use this book as a promotion for the city. We could actually probably save money by giving these books away, because just like so many other services that the city provides, like parking at Marquette Park and the licenses for pets and things, it costs more to provide that service than we make on it. So I'm not opposed to having some way to account for this money, but if the council should take a lesson, take a page out of the way the real world works. They don't do it this way. You know, sell them at half price to someone who's going to take care of them a wholesale and let them do the retail on it. And I think the city would be far ahead than involving all of these city employees to make a very small transaction. And this may drag on for years. Thank you.
So, I actually have a history. I'm Michaela, I'm from the 5th District. I actually have a history working in publishing and editing, and for small presses, for things like that. And there's a lot of ways to go about this that don't involve buying books up front and selling them or giving them away. Please never give books away. Printing is expensive. But one thing that could be easily accomplished is even just selling them on Amazon or things like that. It just kind of depends on kind of what your model is. But, I mean, I do think that the kind of notion of kind of having your books hidden away somewhere or not promoting them adequately, unless you know, it's not clear, you know, just from the little I've heard about this so far, kind of whether or not you do have a grant that covers your printing or something like that, that would provide you some upfront copies free or whatever else, through the university or something like that. But I think it's important that you at least have something out there that lets people know that this exists, because too much important things happen in the city, including things that could generate at least a little bit of income or a little bit of positive exposure for Gary, that people just end up not knowing about, because we never get to hear anything about it and we never get to see anything about it. And the nice things about online platforms is that people search them, there's an algorithm. You know, if you have a search history that has to do with Gary, Indiana, if you live in Gary, Indiana, you know, the book might come up in your searches, the book might be recommended for you. So if that's at all possible, that might be a good option to look into for people. Just a suggestion. Thank you.
Good evening, Civil Rights Activist, Mr. Rizzo. Anyone who knows me knows that I like rare things. The procedure's unorthodox, but I'm for it. One thing about rare things is I always have the saying that I don't want to look like the rest of the monkeys in the group. True enough, the procedure may thought, or would you say lessen the amount of sales. However, those books would really, really be truly valued because only a few would have it. And as I said again, things that are rare are most important. Years later, those books will be more valuable because when the town is brought back to, we'll say 100%, whether it's 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, those books are double. You know, when it comes to finances in the city, I've been in many places because I like to travel, what I used to. When people say, you're from Gary, I say, yes, that's where I lay my head. And they say, well, you know, they're always stealing money there. Well, here we put in procedure where in which there's no question whether there's no money being stolen from anyone. $20 funky ain't gonna be, I'm sorry, $20 is not good, it's not worth you. Anyway, y'all know what I'm trying to say. But I like the procedure, like I say, and it brings more value to the book itself, and it gives accountability to everyone involved, so it's a good thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no one else, so the report is now closed. I do believe inside of here, the books are only stored for inventory at the police section, but there will be books as you make a purchase or finance each for the purchase. But the inventory will be stored. Is there any other questions from council members? And I do know, Justice Starr is ready to make a purchase of the week books already, so I think they're waiting. I'm not forgetting that. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Brown,
Yes.
Councilman Brown,
Yes?
Councilwoman Caldwell,
Yes.
Councilman Proto,
Yes.
Councilwoman Rogers,
Yes.
Councilwoman Sparks Wade,
Yes.
Councilwoman Wyatt,
Yes.
and President Moore.
Yes.
Mr. President, vote is 8-0.
Order 8-0, CPO 2019-62 has passed and served in final for order.
Mr. President, is pending ordinance and resolutions on third and final.
Council Senate orders resolution on second reading.
CPR 2019-10, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of Gary, Indiana, approving of the 2019 City Comprehensive Plan, sponsored by Redevelopment Commission.
Mr. President, I move for passage of CPR 2019-10 on second reading with a committee hearing on November the 26th at 5 p.m. and a public hearing December the 3rd at 6 p.m.
Second.
November the 26th at 5 p.m. and December the 3rd at 6 p.m.
Been moved properly second. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Brown,
Yes.
Councilman Brown,
Yes?
Councilwoman Caldwell,
Yes.
Councilman Proto,
Yes.
Councilwoman Rogers,
Yes.
Councilwoman Sparks Wade,
Yes.
Councilwoman Wyatt,
Yes.
and President Brewer.
Yes.
Mr. President, vote is 8-0.
Order 8-0, CPR 2019-10 is moved to the planning committee on November the 26th at 5 p.m. and public hearing December 3rd at 6 p.m.
CPR 2019-11, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of Gary, authorizing acceptance of grant funds sponsored by Mayor Karen Freeman Wilson, City of Gary.
Mr. President, I move for passage of CPR 2019-11 on second reading, Finance Committee meeting on Tuesday, November 26th at 5:30 p.m., and a public hearing on December 3rd.
Second?
Been moved properly second. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Brown,
Yes.
Councilman Brown,
Yes?
Councilwoman Caldwell,
Yes.
Councilman Proto, Councilwoman Rogers,
Yes.
Councilwoman Sparks Wade,
Yes.
Councilwoman Wyatt,
Yes.
and President Brewer.
Yes.
Mr. President, vote is 8-0.
Order 8-0, CPR 2019-11 moved to the finance committee November 26th at 5:30 p.m. and public hearing December 3rd at 6 p.m.
Mr. President, pending ordinance and resolutions on second reading.
Good evening, council members and public. I just want to start with offering our prayers for speedy recovery for Mr. Melvin Boyer, who was involved in the police shooting. As is standard with any police-involved shooting, there's an investigation that's going on by the Lake County Sheriff's Office. Our Thanksgiving giveaway and celebration and census kickoff meeting will be Monday, November 25th at the Genesis Center, 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. All are invited to come out and support the census awareness efforts. We'll be announcing 2020 census poster contest. There'll be opportunities to learn about employment through the census office. And there will also be information given out about the census that will occur in 2020, how you can get involved, what information will be gathered, why this effort is so important to the future of the city. Construction at City Hall continues as we move to create the one-stop shop on the first floor with the ribbon cutting set to occur December 20th, 2019 at 10 a.m. I want to extend a happy birthday to Ms. Phyllis Springer. Her 90th birthday was this past Saturday.
Okay.
And finally, we would like to wish everyone a happy and safe Thanksgiving holiday next week. Thank you.
We got a few speakers for tonight. I want to sign off first.
name is Dr. Michaela Spangenberg. I'm here to talk about the state of public education in Gary, Indiana, and some of what's going on and some of what we desperately need to go on. You heard tonight, if you were here for the Finance Committee from Westside, about what some of their needs are. And a lot of us from a variety of different schools, different community members are starting to try to come together around the different needs that different school communities have in our public schools in this area. And we definitely support Westside in their needs. And we're trying to build a broad-based coalition of parents, families, teachers, students, anyone who wants to get involved to help bring back local control and a new form of local control that has, you know, a meaningful form of accountability, gives back control to the community, and doesn't have to do with the state, and brings back quality education to our public schools. And through that, you know, one of the big concerns right now is that Westside is not getting the funding that they need. Roosevelt is not getting the funding that they need, either through MGT, through Edison, through anything. Both arms of the state apparatus are failing our schools at this point. And the state needs to get out. Charter school debts are all being forgiven. School debts in other communities are all being forgiven. Gary is being targeted, and public schools in Gary are being targeted in a way that is just completely unprincipled and unprecedented, and is completely unethical, and is probably illegal, and probably violates the rights of Title I parents and children. And there's a lack of accountability, a lack of transparency, and at this point, the state has not given parents a voice, and we need to kind of, you know, a lot of people are feeling that we need to move away from just asking the state for things, and really need to start organizing around how do we as a community start to kind of create solutions for ourselves. So I guess my time is out.
Good evening, Council. My name is Jim Nowacki. I live in the 2nd District. Last council meeting, I brought to the council's attention that at the previous redevelopment commission meeting, that they had passed an additional $65,000 for the consultant who was responsible for the comprehensive plan that you'll be passing at the next meeting. I had tried to point out that it's all done. This guy's already been paid exorbitantly to provide this document. And what I had mentioned that when it had passed the Plan Commission and the Redevelopment Commission, it was passed without them ever even seeing it. As a matter of fact, the Director of Redevelopment made a point to the board at the Redevelopment Commission that this is not intended for you. This is only intended for the staff. The reason we spent all this money, the reason we formulated this, you really don't have to see it. It's really only here for the staff. Well, I think that's improper. And I think the additional money was improper. So I was shocked today to go to the Board of Public Works and Safety and find that a $175,000 contract to Curtis Whitaker through the end of the year. $175,000. Now there's only 40 days. If you take Sundays off, Curtis Whitaker is being paid $5,000 a day. If you take Sunday off, because I think he's busy on Sunday anyways. And this is for a service that was never identified, was never whatever service he's going to be providing for $5,000 a day. Try to imagine. Now, I know we pray for our daily bread, okay? But that's a lot of bread to give Mr. Whitaker. I know it's the holiday season and we're feeling generous. But we're talking today about priorities in our city. Priorities in our city. And if the priority is to make sure that Curtis Whitaker has a joyful holiday, then we've succeeded very well. But I would suggest, Mr. President, members of the council, that without understanding what service he's going to provide, and maybe it's just, we're just giving him the money and it's not intended for you to know. In other words, like Mr. Bittner says, it's really not intended for you to know. Only the staff is going to know what this means. But I'm going to tell you that I was shocked to find that. But Merry Christmas and a happy holiday.
Ms. Johnson, you'll be next. Sarah. Gentlemen in the room. You'll be after Ms. Johnson.
To the great architect of the universe, and the council president and the council members, I'm glad to be here today. Well, I come here today because I've been alarmed. I live on 42nd and Tennessee Street, and for some reason or another, the railroad closed the street there. And in fact, they closed 5 streets in Gary, in Glen Park District. We were not notified, no one in our community was notified of the closure. And since that particular time they closed the street, there's been an accident. Someone has said that, and all I'm going about hearsay, because I don't know any facts, that there was a lot of accidents. But I've been living there for at least 20 years in the same location. The way I found out about the railroad was going to close that track was because a NIPSCO person wanted to go and chart out where the pipes were. And I said, but y'all had just came out here a little while ago to find out what was going on with the pipe. He said, we're doing it for a different reason because they're doing something with the railroad. So, but he still didn't know exactly what was going on. But I don't understand it because it serves no benefit to the people in the community because we don't have, it has changed our pattern. We're aging out in our community. We're aging out really in the city of Gary. And by aging out, we have to go through a different change. We need all our change. We need our money. So we got to go far away, far distant around to go back to where we started, where we came from in order to proceed. I just wish that sometimes when there are major projects going on, I mean, and that's really major, that at least the people in the community would be notified of what's going on. When you close your railroad tracks, your ambulance go through it. And what I heard from Ms. LeBroy was that she had talked to the police chief, she had talked to the fire chief, and she talked to the railroad. But there was no emphasis of talking to the people in the community. And thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Johnson.
Good evening to the council, those present and those joining us by way of the media. I would also like to wish each and every one a safe and happy holiday, and be considerate of those individuals that don't have as much as you have, that have not been blessed as much as you've been blessed, or are unable to enjoy as much as you have enjoyed. You know, I'm very thankful and grateful that I was born in Gary, Indiana. And I remember that when I graduated high school, I wanted to get as far away from here as I possibly could because I had been through so much. But you know, when the Almighty has a plan and purpose for you, and you decide that you're willing and open to be honored for that, then things fall into place the way that they should. I'd also like to thank Black Lives Matter for the education meeting that we had, and to inform the parents in the city that we will be having another education meeting, a roundtable. And we want you all to come out and help us figure out what quality education in Gary, Indiana should look like. I don't care if your kids have graduated. Come on, we want to hear it. I don't care if you are a preschool parent and just getting started. Come on, we want to hear it. Because that's the way it should be. All of us coming together to help each other, support each other, to help get where our children need to be so that they can compete, not just statewide, not just regionally, not just nationally, but globally. And that's what it's going to take. It takes more than just a village to raise a child. It takes community of love. Thank you.
There's Carter in the room. Gary. Okay, you'll be next. And what about Evans Jr.? Okay, go from there.
Good evening. My name is LaBreda Dunham, and I'm a member of the National Roosevelt Alumni. I recently had an opportunity to attend the State Board of Education meeting in Indianapolis. And one of the things that I reminded them is a couple of quotes that I heard was, it said that a man is as great as the truth he speaks and the destiny he seeks, and also that some men build bridges and others tear them down. As Roosevelt, as alumni of Roosevelt, we are looking at two separate issues. We're looking at the Roosevelt students as well as the school building itself. And as I stated to the State Board of Education, if one area of the Indiana school system fails, the whole Indiana school system fails falls on a national level. We drop. Also, one of the things that we are asking is that the Roosevelt students, where they are now is unacceptable. And what has become of the Gary Public School under the leadership of the Indiana State Board of Education is kind of embarrassing. But what we're asking is that the Roosevelt students be placed at Lincoln Elementary School. And we're asking, instead of putting the children in modulars, that you would look at the cost, that they would look at the cost of repairing the HVAC system at Lincoln Elementary School as opposed to building the modulars, because the cost could possibly be the same. And it would allow the students to actually feel like they're in a school, and to have a gym, to just have a whole different atmosphere as opposed to modulars. Then secondly, we are asking them to designate that Roosevelt School would become a museum. And if the Roosevelt became, since being a historical school, if it were to become a historical museum, it could house history of all of the high schools that have been closed in the city of Gary. And that would be beneficial also. It could have classes, theater productions, musical concerts. There are a lot of things that could be used. That's a lot of square footage at Roosevelt School. But what we're saying is this is a time to present a significant and worthwhile thought of positive action that has been long overdue to not only the Roosevelt High School students, but to the Gary Public School children. I was one that signed for the tax money from the boat to go towards education. I never dreamed that Gary Public School System rather, because I'm a nervous on my time. But I never dreamed that we would not get our high school built, that all of the surrounding communities have their new high school, and that the city of Gary doesn't. So we're hoping that you will support.
Thank you.
Council members and members of the public, my name is Doreen Curie and I reside in the First District. I have some comments on the updated comprehensive plan that you've referenced tonight under CPR 219-10. First of all, I'd like to say that the Planning Commission held a special meeting on the same day that that final draft plan was made available to the public. And at that meeting, which was not widely publicized, we were supposed to be able to comment on the public plan, on the comprehensive plan at a public hearing. So there should have been at least a 30-day review period for the public to be able to review and prepare comments on the updated draft plan. That was the first time that the public could actually look at the full plan, i.e. the same day as the public hearing. So that was not really a reasonable possibility. Secondly, there should be, the comprehensive plan had a number of maps, many maps actually, containing land uses that will require changes in this existing city code of ordinances. Now, an accompanying updated zoning code has not yet been completed and should have been completed at the same time as the comprehensive plan update, so that we could be assured that those land use changes that were proposed in the updated plan could be matched by appropriate zoning classifications. Zoning codes and land uses must match, and these two updates should be approved together. So what I'm asking is that the council not approve the comprehensive plan update by itself, but wait until that accompanying zoning code classification is completed, so that you can review and approve both at the same time. So I hope you will consider those recommendations, because without the zoning code classification update, there may need to be changes in that updated comprehensive plan that would have to go back and make those adjustments. And why put yourself through all that? Thank you.
Thank you. I will pause. Normally this is where I stop. There's only 12 slots for us to sign in on here. So I have names that sign all over this sheet. So to be transparent, how we conduct business throughout city council, I have to stick with the plan. You must sign into the slots to be on the list. Not on the back with a note telling me to turn over to read the rest of it. You have to sign into the slots. So that's it. I'll entertain an order for adjournment. Where's the 12 slots there? If the council has no objections to it, I'll let the issues be the speech. If not, I'll report. But I don't want, wait. I don't want to do anything different than I normally do during a council meeting. If the council doesn't have any objections, excuse me.
Yeah, you're right.
No, I thought your name was. If there's no objection from any council members. Yeah, I call your name. Ms. Brown, I have you go first. Mr. Razuli, yeah, Ms. Johnson on here a couple times. Mr. Razuli, I have you to go next, and then Mr. Booz. You be third. Yes.
Thank you for recognizing the signature. The council members, I'm glad to stand in front of you and the general public. Thank you for this opportunity. In the first place, I'd like to say that we are totally in support of the pictorial Pictorial History of Gary, Indiana, and it will be it will be sold at the Gary Historic and Cultural Society Annual Christmas Dinner on December the 9th. The book will be available to the general public, and that's a good way to have it become available through your nonprofit organization. Therefore, not only are you supporting the publishing of the book, you are supporting the Gary nonprofit organizations that are working for the citizens of Gary, Indiana. Also, at this time, I would like to address one of my favorite sons, Curtis Whitaker. What a wonderful son he is. He is an individual that stands up for dignity. He stands up for self-determination. He is a minister from my heart, and I thank him for being in the position he is. You don't pay him anything. He deserves all that he gets because the man is true to working for the citizens of Gary, and I thank him for the work that he's doing in his ministry of the church, for guiding God's people in a way that has really enhanced their community. He has been a forerunner for the Gary Center citizens as far as going back to nature, producing the farm that they have produced on that land, and not only producing the farm, but educating the general public. We might be in a state of where we're not able to really receive the items we need as far as eating. He has showed us another way to grow our own foods, to have our own land, to make it self-sustaining as far as individuals in Gary. We really don't know what the future holds. The future could really turn around, and hopefully because of his vision, people will be prepared to live another way of life that we will not be comfortable with, but through prayer and through standing up for what is right. We don't have the whole picture. All we have is what is presenting itself in front of us. The whole picture is, as the scripture said, what God has already ordained. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there Shirley Moreau?
Good evening, Council. Barbara Razul, 6th District. A couple things. We were, got some of my friends and some people who work with us with New Roots and United African Movement, also Black Lives Matter here, speaking on, prepared to speak on the Malcolm X Street resolution. And I know, I guess it didn't get here yet today. It's been well over 2 months. It's been well over, close to 20 years we've been trying to make this happen. It passed the zoning commission, so hopefully we'll be getting that soon. I know Mr. McCain's name was on it. You got it? Okay, make sure, because I saw you on it before me. He's one of our New Roots who helped us start this petition almost 20 years ago. So we're close to being there, but I just want to, we're here prepared to talk about it and make it happen tonight. The other day, an 82-year-old man was shot in Gary. I don't know how many years ago, probably 11, 12, Vincent Smith was shot, running out of his own backyard, hopping the fence, got shot in the back, killed. Policeman got off. Then we had a long lull, and, working with Black Lives Matter and others, I'll always like, Gary's an example of why we have to have our people in our community, work in our community. Because, we have our issues, like policing in this country, just does black people. We have our issues, but we haven't been a lot of shootings in Gary because black cops ain't doing it. But man, over the last 3 years, this has been like ridiculous. It's getting out of control. And, Rashard is barely in the ground. And, I don't know if we know anything from the county of what's going on, but then we get an 82-year-old man shot here. It's national news. And the people all around the country are appalled. And we barely hear anything from the city. And then we hear a little something in counties, but 82-year-old man, getting out of here going to Louisiana. In a couple of days, I go every year around Thanksgiving. That's when my father's birthday is, around that time. And he'll be turning 82 this year. So I can just imagine him, having a little conflict or whatever. And these outside forces coming in here in our community. But, you know, the last couple have not been white collar. You know, so regardless, this whole policing system on us is really crazy right now all around this country. It's been since before the Mike Brown situation. You know, we just looked at I think 4-year anniversary when our own brother who would really be here seriously on these educational issues, Lasana Diaspora's son, was shot and killed by a policeman in Jackson, Tennessee. And, you know, our youth, our elders, I mean, something needs to be here. I know we were trying to get a citizens review board, an independent citizens review board. We run around the community talking about that, but it's kind of dropped right now, but we need to get that going again.
Thank you. Then we'll have Mr. McCain come next. Is there a Burton in the room? Wilborn?
Good evening, my name is Jonathan Booth, I reside in the 3rd District. I came originally to support the Malcolm X Street, but it wasn't brought to the table, so I would just encourage the council to support it. We've been working on it for 20 years now. It seemed like it would be so much a no-brainer for this council to support their initiative. But also, although it's a separate body, I would just hope this council do what it can to preserve the legacy of Roosevelt. It does have a rich legacy. I remember when I went to Roosevelt, it was like dozens of pictures of people who had went to Roosevelt that made an impact on this country. So, I mean, I don't know what those pictures are at this point, but it should be put in a proper place so people can observe those pictures. From Avery Brooks to the guy who started Blackula, a lot of people came from Roosevelt that had impact. So I would just hope this body would do what it can to support that initiative. And also, in the committee meeting, and it's a long time since I've been at the council meeting, but it seems the same issues tend to plague us. We've had compliance officers, but I've never seen them come in and say they actually shut down a job before. But I have seen work sites that was not in compliance. So I wonder, it just puzzles me. If they come here and say, well, they wasn't compliant, so what? Go shut the job down. Let our people work. They pay taxes, right? That's the purpose of government, transfer wealth. It does by collecting taxes. So if I pay taxes, why, not me per se, I mean, that's not my background, that's what I do, but why shouldn't your nephew or your cousin, your grandson have an opportunity for these jobs? I mean, there is a Gary's Workers Union here. I mean, when Bob Bennett and a few other people, I forget everybody's name, Lasana, Black, we shut down job sites, guess what? The blacks came the next day. They know where they are. They can find them. They want the jobs. Make them find the workers. We pay taxes. It's like we're in a third world country been colonized. They're using our resources, our tax dollars, but we can't work on the job site. So let's hold our compliance people accountable. Don't let them come in and say, listen, they're not in compliance, well, shut the job down. Thank you.
Patrick here, and Mr. Rizzo, our last speaker.
Ladies and gentlemen of the council, a few years back, I had an opportunity to watch Chris Rock, the comedian, do his stand-up routine. And one of the lines from his routine hit me like a blinding light. He said, Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, they were assassinated. Biggie and Tupac were shot. And what Chris Rock was trying to say, be a tongue-in-cheek style, he said, Malcolm and Martin, they died for something. Like so many of our children today, Tupac and Biggie, they died for nothing. I wish to remain secular in a governmental entity, but in John 15:13, it says, there's nothing greater than to lay your life down for a friend. And I'm not here to quibble or quarrel about scripture, but I think what may be even greater than that is to lay down your life for people and you don't even know their names. And Malcolm and Martin did that. Martyrdom is not the end, it's the beginning. The Time magazine named the autobiography of Malcolm X the top 10 most influential nonfiction book of the 20th century. Imagine all the books that came out in a 100-year period all around the world. Malcolm X's autobiography, as told to Alex Haley, was named the top 10 most influential nonfiction book of the 20th century. Personally speaking, I was born in September of 1965. Malcolm X was assassinated in February of 1965. as two human beings, we never shared the same earth. I was in my womb when he was my mother's womb when he was assassinated, and when I was born, he was safely put 6 feet underground. Well, no one next to Jesus the Christ has had more influence on me than Malcolm X. I say what they say in Africa, and I close. To honor a fallen soldier is to pick up his fallen weapon, his or her weapon. And I hope that you will follow suit. On September 24th, 2019, the Zoning Commission passed unanimously the passage of Georgia Street, Virginia Street, and Ellis Street to be called Malcolm X Avenue. And we hope you find that in your heart to do the same. Thank you.
Good evening, civil rights activist Mr. Riso. What I'm about to speak on is looking out for numero uno, as my father used to tell us. Me and my brother when we was 5 years old. I thought it was crazy. It doesn't matter how many activities, businesses, and commodities come in this town. If we don't combat the crime here, we won't be getting too many more citizens and or keeping citizens and prominent businesses that allow us to make comfortable living instead of living day to day or paycheck to paycheck. If you are a businessman who's interested in this town, establishing business, the first factors I feel that you would look for is what is the price of the property? What is the business tax? What is the criminal elements that exist in a particular town? And most of all, can you make the projectile income that you wanted to when you first came up with the idea of making a business? You know, I think that these crime factors are a shame. Afro-Americans, Hispanics, and Caucasians within the last 20 years in this town are now the minorities in business in this particular town. I would say foreign nationals, which is another, we know who we're talking about, are the new majority, and prior to that, it was the Koreans. So when are we gonna take charge of our town? Why haven't we taken charge? Because our own peoples, Afro-Americans, we combat each other. We tend to go out and do whatever we want to our own, and then, and I'm a witness, and I know it. It's not a Caucasian coming through my window, because I see him. It's not a Hispanic. It's someone I can't see who's blue black. But getting back to this, in my neighborhood, people stop doing crimes when they see me because they know I call the authorities when I see criminal elements. And you know why? I call the authorities simply because it affects me. You know, this is the big thing. One guy called me a trick, and I said to him, no, a trick is something that a lady of the evening purchases, or I'm sorry, a John. And the trick is to convince me that your illegal activities benefit me. It doesn't pay my taxes. It does not enhance my property value. It does not put money in my pocket. It does not make my parties any livelier. None of these things these so-called neighbors, friends, and families are doing are helping you, so don't be a fool. And my biggest thing is I tell everyone, you're not a friend to me if you're gonna put my life in danger. You know, put yourself in this perspective if you don't believe me. Many individuals who get shot that are male are usually fathers and breadwinners, and we have to pick up the slack when they get on the system, their families get on the system. Thank you.
So, before we do anything for adjournment, I want to ask for the speakers of the Malcolm X Street to have a conversation with the district council people where the streets run through their district. I know that was the issue that came up, one of the issues that came up during the planning commission, voting, that I expressed that my colleagues need to be aware of what you're doing inside the district because it affects between 4 and 5, I believe, district council people. And I believe that you had to have a certain amount of signatures because this was not an honorary street that we were doing. We was actually renaming the street. So you actually need to have a certain amount of signatures in place. So you have now. 4,000. Okay. Look forward to seeing you all at the planning commission, but please have the conversation.